Hi guys, and welcome back to another What If on the channel. This is the show where I imagine what if this happened, or what if that happened. Now with the upcoming Harry Potter TV series from HBO on the way, I thought I would give my 2 cents at how I would structure the first season, which will be based on the book Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, if you watch my cast this, recast that on how I would cast it, I would use the same cast, hypothetically, as I said in that as I said I would choose in that video. So how would I structure this season? Now, it's likely to be 8-hour-long episodes long. However, the first book is 17 chapters. So how would you fit 17 chapters worth of book into 8 episodes of a TV season? Here is how I would structure that. Are we ready? Episode 1 would be entirely based on the first chapter of the book, The Boy Who Lived. But here's how I would actually structure the episode. The first half of the episode would be explaining how Harry became the boy who lived. So it would show the deaths of his parents and him becoming cursed with the famous lightning scar. And then, after that, it would go into the events of the first chapter of the book, chronicling a day in the life of Vernon Dursley, culminating in Harry being dropped off, or baby Harry being dropped off on the Dursleys' doorstep. So that's how I would structure episode 1. Here's how I would structure episode 2. Episode 2 would be based on the chapters. Well, it would be based on chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass, and chapter 3, The Letters from No One, with the first half of the episode being dedicated to chapter 2, chronicling the disastrous birthday trip to London Zoo for Dudley. And he doesn't fall into the tank in the book, but it's still a disastrous trip because of a snake escaping. And his friend Piers Polkiss would be there with them for this, as he is in the book. And the second half would detail chapter 3, The Letters from No One, which would be showing us the Dursleys having to flee Privet Drive due to an onslaught of Hogwarts letters. And we all know what that culminates in. And this is where I stopped talking about how I would structure episode 2 and move on to how I would structure episode 3. Okay, episode 3 would be based on on chapters 4 and 5. So with the first half being dedicated to chapter 4, The Keeper of the Keys, and this is where Hagrid finds Harry in the cavern on the rock and tells him the truth about his heritage and gives him his Hogwarts letter. And this is also where Uncle Vernon unwisely decides to insult Albus Dumbledore, leading Hagrid to get angry and give Dudley a pig's tail in an attempt to turn him into a full pig. And the second half of the episode would be dedicated to Chapter 5, Diagonally, showing us Harry's first entrance into the wizarding world as he goes off to buy his school supplies with the help of Hagrid. And then has a choice or chance encounter with Draco Malfoy in Madame Malkin's robe shop. We're sticking with the book here because they're supposed to be true adaptations. And this means the episode would have to end with Harry going back to the Dursleys for the rest of the summer. So, okay, on to episode 4 then, here we go. Episode 4, the mid-season finale, would be based on chapters 6 and 7 of the book, and those would be The Journey from Platform 9 3/4 and The Sorting Hat, with the first half of the episode being dedicated to chapter 6, The Journey from Platform 9 3/4, and that's just chronicling the train ride from King's Cross to Hogwarts, and Harry meeting Ron properly for the first time and becoming friends, meeting Hermione and Neville and Draco and Crabbe and Goyle, and the clash they have on the train. And then obviously the second half of the episode would be for chapter 7, The Sorting Hat, which would chronicle Harry and his classmates being sorted into their houses upon arrival at Hogwarts. This would be done alphabetically by surname, as it is in the book. And the Hogwarts song would have to be there, as it is in the book. And I would end it with Percy having shown the Gryffindor first years to the House Common Room for the first time. And that would be where the first half of the season ends. So now into the mid-season premiere, which would be episode 5. And how would I structure that? Well, here we go. Episode 5 as the mid-season premiere would be based on chapters 8 and 9 of the book. So the first half would be dedicated to chapter 8, The Potions Master, which would detail for us Harry's disastrous run-in during his first potions class with Professor Snape, the Potions Master. And the second half would be chapter 9, The Midnight Duel, which would chronicle Malfoy challenging Harry to a duel in the middle of the night after he makes the Gryffindor Quidditch team no mind and has a Nimbus 2000 broomstick, and only to have him and Ron go to the artifact room, or Dishu's classroom, to find him not there and find out they're about to get busted for being out of bed in the middle of the night. And this, in the book, is where they go through the door on the third floor corridor to find Fluffy. So that would have to happen here. And now, on to chapter 6, or no, episode 6, which would be... Yes. Okay, this is where we have to start putting in 3 segments to the episodes to make it all gel. So, episode 6 would be based on chapters 10 to 12 of the book, with chapter 10 being the Halloween chapter, where we learn there's a troll in the dungeon, and Hermione gets locked in the girls' toilets, and Ron and Harry have to come and rescue her. This is all after Ron insults Hermione, by the way. Chapter 11 is the Quidditch chapter, which actually chronicles Harry's first Quidditch match. As seeker for the Gryffindor Quidditch team. And our last segment would be the Christmas chapter, The Mirror of Erised, which would show us Harry getting his invisibility cloak from his father and going off to find the Mirror of Erised, and seeing his whole family from his dad's side of the family crowded round him, and including his mum's there too, yeah, but including, so his whole family, his whole wizarding family crowded round him. And this is where we also learn that Ron would see in the mirror him standing there alone, the best of all of them, having to live in his brother's shadow all the time. So yeah. So that was episode 6 and how I would structure it. On to episode 7, the pre-finale to the first season. How would I structure that? Episode 7 would have to be done like episode 6 and have 3 segments. These 3 segments being based off chapters 13 to 15 of the book. So chapter 13, Nicholas Flamel, will be the opening segment of the episode. And this is where the trio, after a bit more poking around, discovers who Nicholas Flamel is and what the Philosopher's Stone is, and work out that that's what's hidden underneath the trapdoor that Fluffy's guarding, and also come to the not-so-right conclusion that Professor Snape's after it. Chapter 14 is Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback, and this would be the middle segment of the episode, chronicling how they discover Hagrid has a dragon in his cabin, and they offer to help him send it on to Romania. And this is also at the end of which where Draco discovers what they're doing and Neville goes out to try and warn them. This is what culminates in them getting caught, given detention, and Draco loses 20 points from Slytherin, whereas Harry, Hermione, and Neville lose 150 points for Gryffindor between them. 50 each. And the final segment of the episode would be Forbidden Forest chapter, where they'll go into the detention, into the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid for their detention. And only for Harry to be sent off with Draco in the end because he scared Neville and need rescuing by Firenze the Centaur after Draco books it like a coward. Okay, guys, we've got most of the way through now, haven't we? And somewhere amongst all these chapters, we'll see Harry's second Quidditch match against Hufflepuff. So, Episode 8 can only be the final 2 chapters of the book now, can't it? So let's move on to the season finale. As the season finale, Episode 8 only has the first, in my hypothetical structuring of it, only has the final 2 chapters of the book to worry about adapting. Chapters 16 and 17. Chapter 16, Through the Trapdoor, would be the first half of this episode, and it would chronicle the trio's journey down through the trapdoor and past all the obstacles to get to the Mirror of Erised and save the stone. And actually, Chapter 17, The Man with Two Faces, is the finale of the book, would be the end of the season finale episode, and will chronicle Harry getting the stone from the mirror and facing off again against Voldemort, who is sticking out of the back of Professor Quirrell's head. And now, Professor Quirrell would die the same way he does in the book, i.e. not through disintegration. No. He still suffers the burns from Harry grabbing his face, but that's not what does him in. What does him in is, well, Voldemort leaving his body. That's what does him in. And Harry is passed out by this point as well. And of course, it would have to end with Gryffindor winning the House Cup with 482 points to Slytherin's 472. And the very last scene would be them popping through the barrier again onto platform 9 or 10, is it, at King's Cross? And the last few seconds would feature a teaser for Season 2, which I will do the showrunner structuring of once I've done the cast this, recast that episode on it for casting the new characters. So, that is how I would structure Season 1 of the Harry Potter TV series if I was the showrunner. Let me know what you think of my structuring in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have us a magical time.